So, my loves, I asked you for 80s movies that you'd like me to discuss to help charge everyone up for the release of Ready Player One, and The Labyrinth was the most requested movie. If you haven't seen The Labyrinth and, well, want to watch this video without watching the movie first, it is a movie where Jim Henson let his imagination explode on screen. It's a very fluid movie where something insane and incredibly creative happens non-stop. Basically, we start with Sarah dressed in her finest LARP attire reading a play called The Labyrinth in the park. She realizes she needs to get home, only to reveal that she has to babysit her spoiled brat half-brother. Well, that's Sarah's take on her brother. Toby is actually a 9-month-old baby who hasn't bothered anyone, but Sarah seems to want to play the Cinderella card, and she ultimately wishes that the goblins would take Toby away. Then, the second that the goblins oblige her, Sarah regrets her wish and pleads with the Goblin King Jerath to get Toby back. Through her wild and zany experiences, Sarah faces endless terrors, makes some new friends, and learns that life isn't fair and people are more important than things. While we question throughout the entire movie whether the labyrinth is real or not, that's not the issue that I'm covering today. I want to talk about our beloved, yet bizarre, Goblin King Jareth. First, let me cover that Jerath has a lot of supernatural powers, and he can even shapeshift into an owl. If you pay attention, Jerath is actually watching Sarah in the park during the first scene of the movie. Then, after Toby gets taken away, Owl Jerath flies into Sarah's house and offers her a crystal in exchange for forgetting about the baby. When Sarah refuses, she's immediately transported into the labyrinth world and told that she has 13 hours to get to the castle, or else Toby will be, quote, one of us forever. What does that even mean? The next time we see Toby, he's crying his eyes out, but then Jerath goes out of his way to make everyone sing and dance to cheer the baby up. And Jerath later says that the baby is a lively little chap. I think I'll call him Jerath, even making a remark of, he's got my eyes. Well, wait, just, huh? We know that Toby is the product of Sarah's father and stepmother, and yeah, I don't think the Goblin King has any blood ties to this child. So either the baby is subtly changing his physical features as the hours tick away, or, well, what or could there be? It seems to me that Jerath is both bored and lonely. As far as I can tell, he legitimately wants to love that unwanted baby, and we're a few steps away from a gone baby gone scenario here, where the person who would actually treasure that child doesn't get to keep him. And maybe that strange desire to have Toby and raise him as his own explains a lot about the Goblin King's backstory. I mean, yeah, he can shapeshift and all, but as far as we know, it's either to be an owl or be David Bowie. Sure, there's this thing, but it's played up like Jerath is just sitting there in disguise and not actually changing his form. So then, if Jerath is the Goblin King, why is he a human? I mean, we're dealing with Jim Henson here in a movie that cost $25 million to make. They could have totally put some prosthetic nose or earpieces on Jerath to make him look more goblin-y. My bar's pretty low here. I would go with any non-human features to accept the idea that Jerath is a fancy goblin, but they actively didn't, which has to mean something. Jim Henson thought out all of his characters and their extensive backstories, so the way Jerath looks isn't an accident. There's also something really off about the song Within You, which comes up right before Sarah rescues Toby and returns home. Jerath starts singing directly to Sarah in this sad, piteous manner, and he calls her a precious thing, states that everything I've done for you, I move the stars for no one. He also sings, yes, I do believe in you, and I can't live without you, and Jerath painfully cries out those lyrics. Then Sarah jumps to her possible doom, which, surprise, allows her to grab Toby and go home instead for reasons. But Within You is such a haunting song that it really makes no sense. Even though he just met Sarah 13 hours ago, Jerath sings to her like they're about to break up after a long, difficult relationship. What does it all mean? Well, here's the best that I can sort out. Jerath is the Goblin King, but he's not a goblin. Years ago, when Jerath was a baby, someone wished that the goblins would take him away, and they did. Except in Jerath's story, no one came to save him. So he remained in that world. He permanently became one of them. And based on his rapport with the Goblin people, Jerath was well loved as a member of their family until he eventually grew up to become the Goblin King after his mentor and father figure, the previous Goblin King, passed away. After decades of being that special, only human around kind of lonely, Jerath came across a pretty young girl who knew all about his world through a rare old play. Now, that was easy to find out because Sarah reenacts the play in the park so much that she's memorized most of the lines. But other than that, why pick Sarah? Why try to set her up like that? Was it all just random because of her presentation in the park? Well, maybe. But maybe it's something more sinister. Maybe, once upon a time, Sarah's mother was a young girl who was babysitting a child she didn't like, and she wished him away because a rare old book told her it was possible. I'm not saying it was done maliciously, she probably thought she was playing around, but if the baby was taken, she didn't go track him down. That's right, I'm suggesting that Jerath was raised as a goblin instead of a little boy because Sarah's mother said some careless words as a teenager that got a baby snatched from his home. Yeah, there's probably a big age difference between David Bowie and the perceived age of Sarah's mother, but if I lived with a bunch of goblins, I'd probably age faster too, just from all the stress. Or, you know, maybe time works differently over there. We don't know, so you can't tell me that's wrong yet. However, even though taking Toby may have started as a plot for revenge, I think the lonely Jareth quickly changed his mind and actually fell in love with Sarah. That love grew more intense as Sarah proved her dedication to saving Toby, because as a fellow abandoned child, Jareth had a real soft spot for Toby, and seeing Sarah love Toby and not give up on him was like witnessing the love that Jareth never had for himself. So he wanted to keep them both, making this entire story a secret revenge plot that turned into an unrequited love. All this forget the baby nonsense started out as a true statement, then morphed into reverse psychology to drive Sarah deeper into Jareth's world. If Sarah failed to rescue Toby in time, then Toby would be forced to stay in the labyrinth forever. And once that happened, it would be easier to convince Sarah to stay and be Jareth's Goblin Queen. That's why Jerath shows Sarah the ball, to prove that he can be cruel, but he can also be very loving, kind, and give Sarah everything she's ever wanted. All Sarah has to do is love him back. I think Within You was actually a lyrical plea for Sarah to never mind Toby as her priority and to rescue Jerath instead, love him instead, because no other human ever has before. And when Sarah doesn't take the bait, Jerath still loves her. That's why he allows Sarah and Toby to be set free. You know, when you love something, let it go and all that. But the Goblin King is not gone. He's still outside her window, stalking Sarah in his owl form. Yeah, I might be overthinking it, but that's literally my job. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything I've done. You will probably find a lot of things you like that you never even knew that I posted. I want to let you know that I also have two other channels, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end, and then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into it. Okay, well, I love you. I'll see you in the next video.